Hello and welcome to the stock market analysis. Let's continue to look at MSTR Microstrategy Incorporated. This is the daily chart of MSTR, and as you can see, it has declined by quite a lot since the top here, and now we're wondering whether it can base out or bottom and start a new uptrend. Alright. So some of the things that are not very good for the stock is that it is still below the 50 MA. Ideally, we want it to be in a power trend when the 20 MA, 50 MA, and 200 MA are rising. These are some of the best times that the stock can rise. And for example, here as well, you can see the 200 MA rising, the 50 MA rising, and the 20 MA rising. These are the best times to buy the stock as it moves higher. And of course, when the stock goes below the 20 MA and 50 MA, is not so ideal. So at this moment, we want to determine whether it has bottomed and start a new uptrend. Just like here, we have a topping tail. The topping tail is a bearish reversal candlestick pattern that hints of a drop. Once it appears, the stock gap down, and all the way it moved down, came crashing and went below the 50 MA, went below the 20 MA, and here it formed a bottom, some kind of a variation of a cupboard handle, and the presence of a bottoming tail tells us that it wants to go higher, and from there it moved up and have a bullish cross, and all the way it moves up until a high of almost 2000. So at this moment, the situation right now is almost akin to here, right? It has tried to go back above the 20 MA, but still below the 50 MA. Will it form another cupboard handle variation or another type of bullish reversal pattern? That is something that we want to answer. Now, I want to show you the weekly chart of this stock. You can see that there is a previous high here, and previous high, once it's overcome, once the stock moves above the previous high, becomes a new area of demand or support. So this is an area of demand, this is an area of support. Alright, and the other area of demand or support is here. Why? Because there's price congestion here, there are previous highs here that have been overcome. Now you can see this green area here, and when you look to the left, this high here, this long wick here, this is an area of demand, which is why when this stock reached this area and traded down, it formed a bottoming tail kind of pattern and moved back up. So support and resistance, or supply and demand levels, are still very important in the analysis of stocks. So that is the reason why it formed a bottoming tail. You have to remember that. Now, the stock has declined, but as it reaches the weekly 20 MA, it formed kind of long-legged doji, or some kind of a bottoming tail. Let me just show you a bottoming tail. Alright, this is what a bottoming tail looks like. We have the stock open, then move down, and then close higher. This is in a higher time frame. Let's say this is the daily chart or weekly chart, and this is hourly chart, so on. So in the lower time frame, the stock declined and then went back up to form this formation. So what is a single candlestick in the higher time frame is actually a sell off and then a move higher in the lower time frame. Sell off, move higher. So in reality, what happened is the stock had a downtrend in the lower time frame and then started a new uptrend in the lower time frame. So the lower time frame actually hints of possible bullishness that is to come. So if you look at this weekly chart, this bottoming tail, it looks like kind of just now, but it has a longer a small wick up here, but what it tells us is price is rejecting to go lower. Now there is a reason for this, but I'll show you later. If you go to the daily chart, 60-minute chart, you can see there was a sell-off. Remember, I showed you the diagram just now. There was a sell-off, downtrend, and then the start of a new uptrend in the lower time frames. So this in itself is the weekly bottoming tail. Now there is a reason for it. If you look at this bottoming tail, we always have to look at Bitcoin if we look at MicroStrategy. So you can see Bitcoin actually had a very nice bottoming tail and then went back up. So what happened in Bitcoin was during the week it traded down. This is the hourly time frame at the downtrend and then bottom up, form a cup with handle pattern, right? Cup with handle pattern. Now this cup with handle pattern, like this is the cup and this is the handle, and it broke out and went higher, and that is why it has a bottoming tail in the weekly chart. Now the reason why it had a bottoming tail in the weekly chart is because there is a supply demand area here, or a support area. Previous highs once overcome becomes a new area of support, which is why you can see the stock Bitcoin move down and then move back up. Now bottoming tail in the weekly chart is very significant because first of all it tells us that the instrument or the stock does not want to go any lower, but for traders and technical analysts, this is very important to you. You have to look at the construction of the bottoming tail and tell yourself, why did the stock or the instrument form a bottoming tail? Because the stock or the instrument or Bitcoin here doesn't want to go lower. So now you can take a look at the low of this bottoming tail and you can gauge whether Bitcoin is bullish or not by taking a look at what the Bitcoin does in the next few trading bars, which is 1 or 2 weeks later. You see whether it can stay above and go above the highs of the bottoming tail, or will it go below the lows of the bottoming tail. So if it stays above the low of the bottoming tail, that means price is rejecting to go lower, and eventually Bitcoin will go higher, maybe make new all-time highs, and this might be good for MicroStrategy. So let us go back to MicroStrategy right now. The same analysis can be done. What does this tell you? The stock rejects to go lower, right? That's why it closed higher. But having said that, you must remember that we have to look at the lows of this bottoming tail. So eventually, if the stock decides to trade below the lows of the bottoming tail here, then it signifies weakness, and we will have to look at the next support area to determine whether the stock can find support here at 800. But if you look at Bitcoin, there's a high possibility that the stock has already found a low here, and what we want to do is to see the stock to stabilize in this 1 or 2 weeks, and whether it can form a bottom and then move back higher. Alright, so if it moves back higher, there we might encounter the next problem, which might be a double top, right? But that is just a something for you to think about, right? But there is a lot of tradable rooms between now and then. Alright, so if it stabilizes here and moves up, the next thing we need to worry about is whether a double top forms. But at this moment, what you want to look at is let me just remove the drawing tools. You must look at whether a reverse head and shoulders pattern can form in the stock. Alright, let me just draw for you to see. Right, it's really interesting when it comes to the stock market. Alright. Okay, now this is what a reverse head shoulders look like. So the area you have to look up is this left shoulder here. If the stock trades and then it moves lower but stays above this left shoulder here and go back up to form a right shoulder, then you know that you can actually draw a neckline to see if it can break out higher and then eventually start this new uptrend in the shorter time frame and move up to meet the old highs here. So that is one you want to look out for. Now on the other hand, if there's weakness and it drops below the low of this left shoulder, we will see it drop to this area, and the next area to look at is here, and we want to see if this area holds, and then if it can't, it might drop to the 200 MA. So looking at Bitcoin once again, right, Bitcoin might also form a reverse head and shoulder, right? Let me just remove it. If it can form a reverse head and shoulders and then turn back up and break out higher to new highs, this will be very, very good for MicroStrategy. So I do hope this analysis helps you, and see you in the next one.